Good morning. Today we're going to touch on the subject of years of service awards. Probably one of the more common elements of the awards and recognition programming are years of service awards. But there's a lot of misconceptions associated with them, why to give them, how to calculate them. There are some rules that will allow you to work with your clients to allow them to establish realistic budgets based upon number of employees, and it will make this programming just a lot easier to work with. Also, we're going to look at the various elements that make up a years of service award. The goal of this presentation is simply to make you a better presenter when asked about the subject of years of service awards, and to make you a solutions provider in helping your clients prepare budgets and fairly and equitably realize years of service among a widespread group of employees. Simply put, what are years of service awards? As the name implies, it recognizes employees that have served for a specific period of time. It's mainly a thank you. It also helps to recognize longevity, and I think we can all agree that longer serving employees, for the most part, are our better employee base. Somebody who has been in the organization 10, 15, 20 years tends to have a better grasp and a better understanding of the organization than someone who has been there 1, 2, 3 years. Years of service can start as early as 1 year. However, the most common starting point is the 5-year award. And there we see it again, recognizing contributions made by long-term employees, showing your employees that they are valuable, and overall increasing employee retention. And again, these are all base elements of an awards and recognition program. Recognizing your employees, letting them know you think they're valuable, and increasing your retention rates and stemming the tide of turnover, and allowing yourself to have a longer, older, more seasoned workforce. Again, 53% of employees surveyed indicate that they had left an organization due to lack of incentives or praise. And in some of the other tutorials that we have, you'll see many of these statistics repeated again. The cost of replacing an employee being at least 150% of his or her salary. So employee incentive and reward programs do have clear value. And again, the years of service program is specifically designed at retention and at creating long-serving, long-term employees. And again, just more data. It's really more common sense than anything. And sometimes it's really hard to think that we're putting together slide presentations to talk about motivating employees and creating longer serving employees. But the thought process still out there is I can get people to work for anything. And in as much as that may be true, and particularly in this economy, you're going to find that the better companies out there do recognize the longer serving employees, and those are the employees that are still driving that corporation forward even in tough economic times. So I really can't stress enough how important it is to have a very well thought out, well maintained years of service program for organizations of all sizes. And how do we get to this point? And this is the real crux of this presentation. How are you able to assist your client in establishing a budget for a years of service program? First of all, you just have to set a budget. There is a specific amount of money we're going to spend. Um, Set the levels where you're going to recognize employees. Are you going to do 1 year, 3 year, 5 year? As I said, most companies will start at a 5 year level. If you do a 1 and a 3, there are great thoughts out there that it is really diminishing the program because you only have to stay 1 year in order to be recognized. And we're trying to make this about longer serving employees. And then simply calculate the amount of money that you're going to spend per employee, and you're going to be looking at your overall payroll number as well as your total number of employees to do that. All right, so in this example, we're going to recognize employees at 5 years, and the company has spent $5,000. There's $5,000 set aside for 5-year employees, and you're going to give recognition to a total of 47 employees. We have 20 employees at 5, 14 at 10, and 13 with 15 years of service. So here we simply are calculating the total number of service years. So it's the number of 20 employees are going to get 5-year awards, 14 are going to get 10-year awards, and 13 are going to get 15-year awards. So that gives us a total number of anniversary years of 435, the budget being $5,000. So you are allocated to spend $11.49 per anniversary year. Simply do the math, and you come up with $57 for a 5-year employee, $115 for a 10-year, and $172 for a 15-year employee. So this is a very simplistic yet widely recognized formula for determining exactly how much money you're going to spend per employee. So as a review, we need to A, establish a budget, B, determine the total number of anniversary years, and then C, it becomes a simple mathematics calculation based upon those two numbers. And again, this in terms of how do you make a budget, everything is better looking at data over time. So you want to look back and see what historically has been the average for these data numbers, and that will give you the best look. Taking a snapshot, a one-time snapshot in time, is not nearly as beneficial and not nearly as reflective and accurate of your organization as stepping back over a period of 5 or 10 years and establishing that budget number based upon that long-term data. The rule of 7, and this is tending us toward the end of this presentation, but it basically says there are 7 basic types of products that can be used as awards and recognition, corporate gifts, employee incentives, and we're going to step through each of these, and we're going to show you the advantages and disadvantages of each of the product categories that make up the rule of 7. Glass and crystal. A lot of positives here. Widely accepted by both male and female recipients. Can be personalized by etching or engraving, and most of the designs here can be displayed either in your residence or a professional office environment. So whether you want to leave it at the office or take it home, in most cases glass and crystal will fit either way. Cash. There are some huge negatives with cash. First of all, cash is invisible. You get something and the person next to you doesn't get something and it's cash, they're never going to know you got an award. Gift cards are very impersonal. A lot of people just think that there was no thought that went into that gift. And there really is no long-term valuation for cash or gift cards. They don't appreciate in value. A lot of times they end up in a wallet and they're never spent. So there are a huge number of negatives for cash and gift cards in terms to really creating value, really creating a lasting memory of a gift. And really that's what this is about. If you're going to retain employees, you want them to see the gift that you gave them, think about that, and understand why they were given something for a specific period of years of service. Do cash, do a gift card, it's going to wind up in a wallet. It may get used, it may not get used, but then it's gone. There is no lasting long-term memory of the fact that they had a gift card. Clothing, very popular, but again there are some drawbacks. Fashion trends change very, very quickly. So the beautiful coat that was given this year may not be in fashion next year. And sizing and color choices overall to meet individual taste and individual body styles, it's extremely difficult to pull off a program like this. So you're just going to work yourself to death getting sizing, getting color choices, dealing with stock issues. So again, while clothing is popular, there are some drawbacks and negatives that may make it not the number one choice per se for recognizing employee years of service. Jewelry. Jewelry is a very, very personal choice item. I think everybody watching this tutorial can say, I have a style of jewelry that is mine and only mine. And I may not do or wear what my neighbor wears, what my sister wears, what my mother, my brother wears. So again, a very, very personal choice item. And not all people wear jewelry. There's a lot of people who just do not wear jewelry. And as we saw with clothing, the styles of jewelry change rapidly. Now perhaps not as rapidly as clothing, but nonetheless they change. The watch styles that were in vogue 5 years ago are probably not today. The way ladies dress for an evening out has changed over the years. So again, there are huge negatives and perceived negatives in giving jewelry. It's a wonderful gift, but it may not have the lasting benefit and value because of style changes and the fact that you may give somebody a wonderful piece of jewelry and find out they're not a jewelry wearer. So there's a wasted gift at that point and a wasted opportunity to say thank you for your years of service. Artwork. And this is very, very common particularly with longer serving years of employee, 25, 30, 35 years, to give them a beautiful piece of artwork. And me personally, I love art, but the top line says it all. Individual preferences in artwork vary widely. And I think it would be almost impossible to guess what your employee base is going to like in terms of art. And not every home is a suitable environment to display artwork. Particularly today with more mobile employees, people changing jobs, people changing home locations, simply not every dwelling is going to be suited or have a suitable environment to portray fine works of art. And artwork really is going to be limited to a home environment. You're not going to be able to hang your beautiful painting in your office space for the most part. Now, there may be exceptions to this, but for the most part, you're going to have to take art home. It's not going to have any potential or possible value at the office because it's going to have to go home to be displayed. Electronics. You know, a lot of these things are, as we've looked at jewelry and other things, they're clothing, they're personal choice. So some people have a specific brand of electronics, a specific type of computer that they're used to using. So the negative here is I give you a wonderful laptop or tablet only to find out, well, you really prefer the other brand, or you're much more comfortable using that brand. Technology changes. I think all of us know you get a computer and within 4 to 6 months you need the next latest and greatest. So how long is that good going to be of value, or how long is it going to be perceived to be the new latest and greatest? With the way technology is evolving today, probably 4 to 6 months, and you're going to say, oh, I got this for my years of service, and somebody's going to say, well, that's great, but that's outmoded now. You know, that's old school, as it were. So you need to be very, very mindful of the fact that technology changes make even the most well-thought gift obsolete in a very short period of time. And differing skill levels, and this is really more my generation issue. Certainly younger people out there are much more in tune with the electronic world today. And there are a number of people in the baby boom generation who are, we're drug kicking and screaming into the electronic age and still have a very limited view and use and capability and skill set when it comes to dealing with technology. So one of the things you don't want to do is give somebody a gift that they don't use and can't understand. And generally speaking, the embarrassment factor is not going to allow them to tell you that. But nonetheless, it's not going to be a very thoughtful or useful gift because they lack the skill set to be able to use it. And finally, one of the last gifts is silver. And silver, very much like artwork, it is an absolutely stunning and beautiful gift, but there are so many preferences and so many different schools of thought in terms of decorating and the use of silver that it's hard to outguess what a recipient is going to like or enjoy. And the other issue is silver has a maintenance cost. If you want that beautiful piece of silver to still look and feel and have the value that it did when it was given to you, there's a lot of polishing work that goes into maintaining that. So some people will say, well, this is great. I got a gift from my employer, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. I'm constantly polishing it to keeping it well maintained. So while silver does have value, certainly the maintenance cost and the fact that it's a personal preference item may not make it the number one choice in terms of award and recognition for years of service. So I hope you've enjoyed today's brief tutorial. Again, years of service is probably the number one area where you can sell awards and recognition products, but you will find when you sit down with HR directors, many do not have an overall handle on just exactly how do I establish my budget. How do I determine what kind of money I'm going to spend? How do I determine where I'm going to start my spending? And lastly, what type of gifts am I going to give? What types of gifts make the most sense and are going to get the most long-term value for my employees? So I'm very hopeful that this small tutorial answered those questions for you in your mind and make you a better awards and recognition provider when you have that next meeting on years of service programs.